There we go.
There we go.
Hi, Trinny.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah.
Thank you for accepting this strange invitation.
It's not strange at all. I love to see the evolution of your career, and this is that next evolution of your career.
It is indeed. And inspired by the master of revolution of careers and master of reinvention.
Like, evolution.
Evolution.
I like to call it evolution.
Master of evolution.
Yeah, because I think reinvention is like you weren't happy with what was, so you had to change it. Evolution is you take what you've learned in the past and bring it to the present and future.
Yes, and you've done it many times, and you brought it to the stars right now. And well, this is the Body Talks. As I anticipated when I invited you, it's all about learnings and how we learn and use and listen to our bodies, and how we also, with our own body wisdom, help other people listening to their bodies and understanding what they need and helping them being inspired or having a better sense of themselves. So with you having worked with so many women in your whole life, listening to their bodies, to their skins, like I thought like it would be an amazing conversation and an amazing contribution having you on here. So
I can't wait.
So thank you. So to begin with, what I've been doing with everyone is an audio description first for people that can see us.
Yeah.
So, well, I am a tall, white, curvy woman with blonde hair, a colorful blue stripy shirt with green and blue bits, and then jeans and some black sandals. And I'm wearing all Trinny London Munchkin on eyes, cheeks and lips.
Fabulous.
What about you?
I am in a full double down a moment.
Yes.
I'm in my own home. We're in my sitting room, and it has a lot of books behind it, which I've read 95% of them, and they go from home to home with me. We're sitting on a very old sofa, which I've also taken to the last 4 homes. I've had it for about 25 years. And I am in what I call my running around Friday clothes, but I still never let go of just trackies and pants, because I just haven't found the perfect trackies and pants probably. But I like to, even in my own home, make that little bit of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this also because, like, working with you for the last 10 years, I've seen you changing homes a few times, and these sofas, some of these elements, the photos with your family and the books have always been like your home within the home. So you've always taken them with you, and it feels home. It feels Trinny's home, basically.
Yeah.
So it's so beautiful. So thank you again for inviting me here as a transition moment from working together full time to my new evolution. And okay, so that's that. And then the first and only exercise I ask everyone to do is actually to close your eyes. We do 3 breaths together. Okay, so inhale for 4. Hold. And exhale for 8. Once again, inhale. Hold and exhale. And third and last, inhale for 4. Hold and exhale. And with your eyes closed, I would like for you to connect with your body and feel every part of your body, doing a little body scan. So like from the head, the eyes, the ears, the neck, the shoulders, going down the front, the back, then the legs, the feet. And I would like you to listen and see if there is any body part that at the moment is telling you something. You can share at any time.
I feel quite relaxed because I did this about an hour ago with my CEO coach of this, taking a moment in that stillness to recenter.
Yeah.
Probably because I've been at my desk since then. The middle of the back is twitching. I've got a very long back, a slightly curved spine, so I'm always aware of it. But the rest of my body feels very relaxed.
Nice. And is there any part of the body that you connect with something in the past that maybe was uncomfortable or created trouble or you wanted to change earlier on?
Probably less my body, but more my face. I had very bad acne.
Okay.
So that was something I always would look in the mirror and think, oh, I wish it would go. Or I'd put on so much spot cream the night before and wake up and think, maybe they've all gone this morning. But they hadn't.
Yeah.
I think that was always where I would put my focus. Yeah.
Okay, you can open your eyes. Thank you for that. So maybe we can use this answer to start our conversation about the body. And actually, I want you to go back to back in time and understand whether these acne and your relationship with your skin and your face was probably the beginning of your career in a way when you were at school. Not the career, but like I remember listening to a lot of your podcasts and interviews talking about your times at school when you were like exchanging or lending some of your products to your friends. Probably then you didn't have acne still.
I think I did.
You
then.
did? Okay.
Yeah, I think when I went to boarding school very early, but the second boarding school I went to when I was about 11, then when I was sort of 13, I got acne. So that time I was already looking at things that I would, cure it with. And I tried so many things. And then because of all that things I tried, I had a bathroom full of different things, and I would have friends who would come around and we would end up in the bathroom every single time. Or my wardrobe or the bathroom. Yeah.
I remember you saying that. And I also remember more recently when you are on press trips and share the new launches and talk with journalists and people that love the brand or that are new to the brand, you kind of like in a way reproduced or like you're bringing again this sense of like, come to my bathroom, I can talk to your skin and help you, like I talked to my skin in the past and now let's talk to yours. Like I remember many times seeing you getting everyone to close their eyes and you close your eyes and just you touch their skin and you basically talk to their skin and listen to the skin talking to you and you kind of understand what they need in a way. So how did you get there? Like what's your
because I think I got to a stage where I needed to get in touch with my brain and my body, and it's that thing of your head and your heart and how closely they're connected, and that's always probably been my disconnect. I will have like a chakra here that's shut down, and I know it. I have an awareness of that now, but at the time I think a lot, and I sometimes keep my heart hidden, not heart hidden because I am very open, but I don't always allow myself to express my feelings in the most organic way, so fear will make me aggressive as opposed to fear, let me be vulnerable, so we have different ways that we'll process how we're feeling and how we react to that feeling. And so sitting with things is something that is a continual journey of learning, and it is for me listening to my body and thinking, where am I at? And when I am running, when things are not in my control and I'm trying to make them in my control, because I feel there's, in work you've seen this a lot, Chloe, of just when we need to switch things and, they're not going how I think they should go. It's that fight or flight in a way. So over the years, the thing I have to continuously be aware of is what is my body telling me, because our bodies will tell us before anything else, and generally it's not my body, my gut. It's all in the bloody gut. It starts in the gut, and if I listen to the head and I ignore the gut, then so there is a realization since in my 50s of how can I actually be really healthy in that too. So it's the listening intuitively to one's gut, but it's also bringing the health to the gut, because that's the second brain, and that's where all those, the more that works, the better that works, the clearer my head.
And how did you get to this point? Like, how did you find out about the gut being the second brain? I know, like,
I think lots of learnings, but I have to bring into this addiction, because I think it's interesting when we look at the effect of addiction on things we do in our life. And my addiction was with drugs, but I was with lots of people who also had food addictions and alcohol addictions and different addictions. And so for me, when I put down drugs when I was 26 and a half, 27, and I'd been, doing drugs since I was 17, that was a way to not have an intimate relationship with oneself. You're sort of, people generally use something to numb feelings. It's a very good suppressor of feelings. And so when I first, had that opportunity to really put down drugs and allow myself to sort of discover who I was, that was when I then had to be really, it was like I'd peeled so many layers of an onion away. I had to build myself up again. I had to work out who I was, because I'd always just had bravado, and I had a very good, I was very good at faking it to make it. And that process has just evolved over time. So my understanding, so I went from there to, I always loved sugar. And sugar is fine when you're younger. And we can process things in our body when we're younger that I feel we can't when we're older. And so there's a balance for me in the whole sense of good relationship with your body, of what is good for your body too. So I lead with what is good for my body. So I know that post-menopause, I don't process sugar well. My body doesn't process sugar so well. We have all these hormones in our gut, and we also, sugar is I see it as the glycation. I see it as a burnt chicken.
Okay.
That's how I see sugar.
Okay.
Because if you imagine you put a chicken in the oven and the skin burns, glycation is the sort of, destruction of our insides. There's glycation. It's a biological description, and I'm not brilliant at science, but what I do appreciate is sugar is inflammatory, and inflammation leads to glycation. So if I want to keep my body really well, and I want to be able to be 90 doing stuff, and my mum wasn't able to. She had Alzheimer's, she had, issues around her ability to move. So I want to feel, how can I nurture my body and really take care of my body so it takes care of me? And this is something I say a lot, but I really believe it, Chloe. And times when I feel that I go back to my addictive me and I inhale sugar and I have I can't just have one bite of dark chocolate, I will have 3 bars, okay? But then I feel that in my body. So it's really, for me, my relationship around my body is around, am I treating it well or not? Am I respecting it or not?
Yeah, and from respecting the body and doing the best you can do to it, you also allow the energy to flow right. Because I know a lot of, most of people in your community and everywhere are always commenting about your energy, and they're like, oh my God, I wish I could bottle Trinny's energy. And I believe the energy is created also from what we do with our body, right?
100%. 100%. And if I don't treat my body well, if I don't sleep well, if I don't make myself strong with strength training, my body doesn't have the energy. What can I do to fuel my body? I want, I could wake up and have lots of sugar. I could wake up and have my 3-egg omelette with tons of herbs and some broccoli and black bread, which is what I choose to eat in the morning. Because I think, I enjoy food. We both have a love of food, but I also want that first thing in the morning to be giving fuel to me to have a consistent day, and if I go into my morning with, a double coffee and 2 croissants and tons of strawberry jam, I don't have that. There's a thing of feeling sated, which is a very emotional thing too. Where
what does sated mean?
Sated means satisfied. Okay. Satisfied. Exactly.
Sated, okay.
So if I have that kind of morning, I have a much more balance, and that balance because I have a glucose balance, but I just have a balance, and my brain works better. And if I don't have that kind of morning, I notice it so much. Whereas when my 30s, I'd never notice it because it wouldn't be happening to my body. It didn't matter. It didn't matter, but it matters now.
Yeah. And this is part of also what you share with the Trinny tribe, with your followers, with in your work and podcasts, everywhere really. And I think I love the fact that you're talking about everything inside, which is actually the secret to feeling your best, both inside and outside. And you've been working a lot with other people, and especially women, on the outside, and how to feel amazing. And you're also like some people might see like beauty and fashion as a vanity thing, but actually that's like works hand in hand with like looking after your body and looking after your exterior, so you can actually be the best version of yourself, right? Which is
and it's a different thing for every single person.
Yeah.
You know, everyone you interview on this podcast, that how they want to present themselves externally is all around how you feel inside. So if you feel very uncomfortable with yourself, you might want to put on a big camouflage and wear a lot of makeup and wear clothes which stop people getting to know you, because that's your defense, but that's your protection. Yeah. So there are people who will do that, and I'll meet people and I will understand 100% why they do that. And there's other people who will strip everything back because they have this really strong sense that it should be the person inside is the only person you see, and I don't want you to be confused by anything on the outside. So they are sort of anti anything. They'll wear the simplest clothes, I won't wear makeup, you know, they won't colour their hair. You know, it's like those are two extremes. And then we have all of us dotting around somewhere in the middle. So I dress very much according either to my mood and to enhancing the mood I already have, or to shift me from a place where I'm not feeling so good and I want to feel better. So it's either enhancing how good I feel. So like today I feel great. So I'm like my double denim, the top feels cool, I feel ageless, which is an important thing to me. You only say that as a 60-year-old woman, you don't say that as a 20-year-old. Lida's like, that sounds so old, but that's my interpretation. And if I was feeling, you know, that I'm just sort of, I need to bring something extra, I might throw on a sequin just to bring myself into the mood that I know is available to me, that sometimes that exterior stuff will bring and give me inside.
Yeah. And you inspire so many people, like sharing these tips and this way of being. And I think something you do amazingly when you do that is like making all these people, all these women feel like a sense of belonging. And that's also what you've been doing, creating the community around you. And I feel like in a way from your tales of the past, of like maybe feeling like a little bit of an outsider, or like comparison with your sister, and then maybe and then when you were working in finance, that you were kind of like camouflaging with men's clothes. So I feel like something amazing that you've done in your career is like from feeling an outsider to creating community, or a community that feels like they belong to each other, because you're giving them some tools to actually be in touch with their body as much as they can, and have the tools to actually feel that they belong in society.
Yeah. So, and I think people can have varying degrees of that. So if we look at the Trinny tribe, I wouldn't say everyone there feels an outsider, but I should think everyone there at some stage in their life has felt this sense of not belonging. And I think that is a connection, because you could see somebody who appears so confident and everything, but you have a chat to them and at one stage they felt an outsider, you know, and that makes us really have to get in touch with who we are, why we feel maybe a disconnect, and the joy of the Trinny tribe. And I think what people loved about Friday Twinning as well was that they could see between you and I different elements of themselves. I mean, I know the community miss Friday Twinning, but also I do believe in life that it's important to evolve. And I think for you, in a way, sort of saying we're going to, you know, we're not doing that anymore. And we really had a lot of conversations, Chloé, about what you felt was the next stage of your life. And I feel for everyone at Trinny London, they shouldn't be there forever. No. They need to find the next stage of their life. I did that along my career. And that's how I then got to unravel the next bit and see what was inside. So it is, you know, I know people miss it because it's a lovely thing. I always say follow Chloé because she's doing really great stuff. Just also your outfits too, to see those different things. But what was interesting about it was the interpretation we both put to things, you know.
Yeah. And how we were being ourselves with something that is maybe like the same from the outside, but also how would we celebrate ourselves and our differences as well in the way of, styling and makeup and ways of celebrating our bodies and be in touch with our bodies at the same time. So it has been also beautiful for me to see and to support while we were doing this a similar concept of like, I mean, Twinning wasn't a makeover, but like the Trinny Takeover show, for example, was a makeover. And it was like a similar concept of like giving women tool to appreciate their bodies and their faces and making them feel their best after maybe a period of not feeling like they would fit or they would be themselves. And that's also what you've been doing, not what you've been doing, but like a similar kind of mission that you had, I think, when you were on TV in the 90s with What Not to Wear. And I also have a question about it, because you've seen probably an evolution, or maybe it's the same. Like, how do you see these women or society in general in terms of like what to wear, what I'm trying to say is like, in the past was all about like maybe hiding some elements that you weren't comfortable with, and it's a similar thing now, but it's a different maybe concept of like self-empowerment. I don't know. I just wanted to see if you saw any change between when you started doing it and now.
I think the biggest change is, I mean, there's things that are similar and things that are different. So I think that there was a sense, perhaps in the 90s and noughties, of, to an element, how do you conform to an ideal, all right? And whatever that ideal was then, you know, the 90s was sort of matte makeup, wearing black, you know, New Yorkie vibe, supermodels, you know, all the stuff going on. The noughties was that kind of the rave, then it had just, you know, there was that sort of freedom of expression beginning, that sense of individuality but still belonging to a club. And people wanted some rules. You know, when Suzanne and I came along, there were no rules of things, and there was no show, you know, that would give you at least some rules. And What Not to Wear was that show. You know, there'd been in England something called the Chloé Show for many years, and then there was nothing on TV, and it was just, we sort of came along and said, think about this, don't do that. And if you apply those rules now, it would be a square peg in a round hole, because what's great about today is you can do anything you want, and you don't feel you're not conforming, that it's not about conforming anymore. But equally, that leaves a certain amount of people thinking, well, what shall I do? You know, for the person I am today, you know, maybe what I've worn and how I've put myself forward for the last 10 years worked then, but suddenly I get dressed in the morning and I feel, this isn't me, but I don't know what is me. You know, so we still need inspiration. We still need to look around and think, do I take a little bit of that person? Is that a little bit of me? We still want inspiration. And I think that, you know, when I look and I scroll through Instagram, I see endless people doing an oversized suit in beige, all right? It's like a plethora. And then I see a mix of high fashion and all about designer bag. And then I see crazy stuff. You know, there's everything going on, but there's definitely some trends. And so I will look at some of those sometimes, and I think, I'd love to think, like, can I do a barrel leg jean? I've got them on today. Half of the people who follow me were like, oh my God, that's so ugly. You look like you just got off a horse. And then the other half of people was, I love it, because they were at that zone of me on the end of feeling, what I've been doing for the last few years, I want to let go of, and I want to find something new. And I'm in that process too, of that next evolution. And, you know, my hair is a bit longer. I'm wearing a barrel jean. I've got an oversized coat. But how I put them together, and the neatness by which I do it, or the ease, or is it a trainer, not an over-trying stiletto heel? You know, so how do I bring the concept of what's out there, but make it work for me?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what fashion is about. It should be there to inspire us, to make us think that's so what we don't want to be. You know, there was a really interesting show. It was Comme des Garçons or something at Paris Fashion Week a few weeks ago, and you know, there's models coming down in what looked like sort of huge lampshades, and there were a lot of comments around, you know, this is not fashion because you can't wear any single thing. And, you know, fashion is a statement. And there's been many times when, and I've looked at catwalks since the 80s, where things came down and at the time people were like, are you kidding? You know, one of those was the really oversized coat, and we're wearing it today. Now, I'm not saying we'll ever wear giant velvet lampshades, but fashion in that extreme is an expression. There is a sense of all those people who make comments saying, what the fuck is going on here? That they so need to feel inspired by something they can wear. And that's them crying out saying that what they're actually saying is they're deriding something, but what they actually probably feel is, I can't find identification where I look right now, help me.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that when we look at the catwalk, it should inspire us, and it inspires different people in different ways. And I'll find really wearable fashion where I'll look at something and think next spring, summer, I'd love to think about that look. And actually I'll probably start doing it now in a wintry way because I'll just be inspired by something.
Yeah.
So I love fashion for that reason, but I love dressing more because dressing is the interpretation of the influences around you. And that's what I like to help educate people on.
Yeah.
It's not really fashion.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. And also I can see how like in the past it was more about like giving a structure for people to, like improvisation is like...
You still need a structure.
You need a structure to
exactly.
be able to improvise.
Yeah.
Like you need something to be able to be creative.
Yeah.
And that's what you were giving to people at the time. And now you're like, okay, you don't want the proper structure because like nowadays the rules are not really what you need, but I can give you all the inspiration. That could be your structure if you want to. Otherwise, this is
take it or leave
how
it.
I am. And this
exactly.
is unapologetically me. I love doing all this. Take it or leave it. And a lot of people be like, okay, I'll take it. You know what I mean? So,
or I'll leave it.
Or I'll leave it.
Or I'll leave it,
I don't know.
But I like unapologetically me. It's a good expression.
Yeah, and I was actually at a panel conference a couple of days ago, and there was this lady Phil, which is the co-founder of Black Pride. I don't know the age, ageless black, amazing queer woman, and we were talking about legacy, and she was saying something so interesting. She said. She said that the legacy is not something that you plan per se. It's something that happens when you are unapologetically yourself and you do the work that you feel like it's right, and then people will actually interact with it, and then that's the legacy you kind of will have. And I really love that concept. And I'm like, that reminds me all the time that you said in every show, and like the time I turn 50, I don't care anymore. That's me, and this is how I want to live. And so that's probably also part of the part of the legacy you're leaving. But I would like to hear from you as well about like your legacy in the future with your daughter, but with your brand, with yourself. Like, what is it that you're hoping to continue? Like,
the thing is, in a way, you're answering the question, because what the woman said is a legacy is not something you plan.
I know.
It's an evolution of your ideas and how they're interpreted by people. But when I look at where I want to be in my future, it's to be living in the moment, whatever that future is. And I made a decision not to live in the past. And I have things in my life that have happened in my life which have been painful things. And there's a big difference between submerging painful things that have happened to you and not addressing them and just living in the now. And being aware of them, like when you do meditation, you see it, you let it pass, and you continue. And living in the present. So, we have this conversation at the office a lot. Would, could, should is something that I used endlessly in meetings, and now I'm aware, I still do it, but I'm aware it's not beneficial. So this concept of, I wish it had been a different way, has got to be, this is how it is, so how can I then make it different moving forward? And that's how I try and do it. And my sort of mantra at the moment, which is also challenging sometimes, but it's to bring my best self to each encounter, because I can give my best self when I'm by myself on Instagram, chatting intimately with the camera, and then I can be very stressed in a work environment and not always bring my best self. So how can I bring my best self each time, and what does that look like? That's where I'm trying to transition to if I think of what I want to bring into my life more.
And do you see these as a sort of like a definition of success?
No, they're two totally linear things. So one is just how I would like to behave, and the other, the definition of success to me is a mixture of actual achievement, personal growth, and what you leave behind. It's those three things. There's probably more in it, but I'm just the first three I thought of.
I love them. Thank you. Okay, well, you mentioned at some point the moving from living in fear to kind of like do and try and ground and be the best you can be, to be able to inspire people to be their best. And this reminds me of the philosophy behind Fearless, which is your book, your podcast. What is the one challenge that you had creating a more fearless life, or like the book, the podcast, like in terms of creating this whole new sort of way of living that is more
It's about doing it
fearless.
without only doing it if you know the consequences. You know, because the thing is, if you think I'll do this if this happens, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a point by where you don't know the outcome and you will do it anyway. So this book that inspired me years ago, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, was around that concept. So we always in life would like the safety net, and it's about, in a way, jumping off the cliff, not realizing there is a net underneath. And that is that leap of faith, the concept of a leap of faith. So I think it's important just to, you know, the whole idea of fearless is not fearless, like I'm, you know, fearless. Fearless in your life, you know, and separating out the word into two. It's just about taking away some of the fear, because as soon as we, you know, fear stops us, it paralyzes, it's really doesn't allow us to move forward. And if we can somehow just know, we just try, because if somebody's in a place of being paralyzed by fear, it's very difficult to think, well, then how do I get to be in a place where I just do it anyway, all right? And it's a gentle evolution. It's not also expecting overnight. So for you, your biggest fear was probably leaving Trinny London and what would be next.
I was about to just say.
In terms of your most recent fear, Chloe. And it was a gentle journe. And, you know, I tried to help that journey be an easier journey for you, because I knew that sort of harsh change, you're emotionally you need to come to terms, feel something, process it, and then move. That's how you are built, okay?
Yeah.
And by having that space in which to have those thoughts, and then it took away some of the fear, because then you could experiment with some things whilst you had a sort of safety net, but you were putting your foot in the water. And then there's a point by which, it's like anyone who's in a job and wants to become self-employed, these are that. What time can I make the leap? You know, it's the hardest thing sometimes.
Absolutely.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah.
And actually, exactly when you were saying it, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, right, for me, the biggest fear was the transition between like a full-time role at Trinny London to building my own brand and like just creating the body talks and
building your own brand. Own it, Chloe.
I'm building my own brand.
Yeah.
But part of what helped me, apart from everything you just said, and thank you so much for that as well, like just publicly, and you like, yes, you really like helped me with the transition and with the fear that happened for a few months. I think also the chance I had to have the sabbatical month and go to Guatemala and see how they live their life. Now that I'm gonna get to the point, I think what I realized there, one of the most important things, and their relationship with nature and their relationship with like dropping from the head to the body to the heart, and how they did it in community, it's spirituality, which is something that I've always kind of like not rejected, but I've always thought, okay, I grew up Catholic, I'm not spiritual, no. Then I worked with this energy healer for a while, and I started understanding about my energy and my body, and listening to my body physically and like energetically. And then with cacao, I realized that actually with the way they see nature as a spirit, like this spiritual thing, I was already spiritual in a way. So I kind of like, if I see myself or everyone, we have like the physical body, the energetic body, and then the spiritual body. And I'm thinking everything that we've been talking about, this leap of faith, this kind of like going beyond fear, for some people could also be spirituality. And I know that I don't think you've ever spoken much about spirituality, but I know in a way with your energy and with all the work you've been doing, you're also spiritual. I think I don't know, in a way. So I don't know if you feel like sharing, how do you feel connected with that? Not from religion, but like spirituality itself.
It's a wide interpretation. One of the first interpretations I heard of spirituality, which was in rehab when I was 21, is religion is for people who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality is for those who have been there.
Ooh.
And I always then, from that moment, appreciated I was a spiritual person, not a religious person. I never felt religious anyway. I was Church of England and Presbyterian, which is so cold as a religion. And sorry to Presbyterians there, but it is quite a cold religion. And so spirituality, the interpretation for me of spirituality is the sense of connection to something it's definitely got to do with nature. It's definitely, if you feel spiritually bankrupt and you go for a walk and you lie on the grass, there is a connection and there's an energy for sure. Now, my sense of, do I lie on the grass and feel the energy pulsating through my body? I don't necessarily, but I can do meditation where I make an energy ball. I can, I am very sensitive to, I might be oblivious to people's feelings, but I have a great sensitivity to know how people are feeling in a room. And that is more perhaps an intuitiveness, but I will have this tingle that I will sometimes feel very strongly in my fingers, and I can just feel it. So I used to do these things when I was very tired, where I would just, build out my little energy ball and make it bigger and bigger, still feeling the tingling in my fingers, and then, push it back in my heart, that feeling of let's get the energy back in. And I really, I knew that I was doing that. So is that spirituality? Spirituality is to believe in there's something more than us. There's something more than us. So whether that's the energy of nature, whether that's a god, whether that's pagan, whether that's a cacao ceremony, a Buddhism, it could be through the channel of a religion. But I do think for me, it's that you have a sense of what is not physically in the room can be as important as what is physically in the room. Yeah,
absolutely. And I sort of like, for me, like my way of being fearless right now is like feeling that there is something like that things will be like, if I trust in something that for me is like the power of nature, but or this bigger energy that are in the room, like if I trust they have my back, I have my back, it's gonna be fine. So for me, that's from everything you share in your book and in all your kind of like learnings and tips, I think that's for me right now, like what helped me as well becoming more fearless from the transition is actually the connection with that. So I was just wondering what would that for you, but thank you, that's beautiful. Okay, we just have a few minutes. I have 3 quick fire questions for you. A fun exercise. Right, the first one is, do you have a fun, it can be weird, story about a body part that you hated at first, but then allowed you to get away with something, and you've been actually grateful then for it since?
I always felt I had chicken arms. Yeah, I think I really felt I had chicken arms. And now people always talk about my arms. Like you have great arms, but I always thought they were chicken arms. So they went from being chicken arms to arms that people admire. So I feel good. And for me, an arm is the interpretation of strength. So when I think of strength physically and I look at the body, I think of arms because I think of that, feeling strong. It's, all these elements we have, a revolution, it's like this, it's the strength, and it's this section of the body. So I like to, I look after my arm now. I do strength training. I even in the morning when, I'm not having somebody that I do it with, sorry, there's somebody coming in the door, come on in, I will then do it. So that went from chicken to strength. Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Chicken to strength.
Chicken to strength.
Yeah.
Well, right. Question number 2. What's your favorite non-human thing you like interacting with your body?
Non-human thing I like interacting with my body is Daffy. Like just hugging Daffy.
Your dog.
Yeah.
For people that don't know who Daffy is.
Yeah, Daffy is my mad. She's a lurcher with a whippet and a Bedlington Terrier. But she has this energy. So if I've gone for a bit and I come back in, she will chat. She'll go, like, where have you been? And sometimes when I come in and, my daughter's sometimes here, my stepson is sometimes living here. But if I come in on my own, it's my favorite thing. I could have said a vibrator, but I think in a way there's an element of this intimate, intense interaction that I have because I start talking dog. I just talk like, and then she goes, like this. And then Zach and I, my stepson, were here last night watching some trash TV show he's making me watch. And Daffy was there, and we wanted to compete as to who she would talk to first. She talked to neither of us. She's so, she's so obstinate. So it's my favourite non-human interaction, for sure, yeah.
Love that, thank you. Then the last fun fact about yourself that nobody listening to this podcast should know.
Should know, but then why would I say it, Chloe? I mean, you've got to think of a better question to ask people, I'm sorry, because then you're going to say something and then it's actually something that I'm really happy that thousands of people would know.
Okay.
So,
should know then?
Should know, let's try that. Should know. I feel really good after a good dump.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. A satisfying poo is so good. It's like, that does take it down to the lowest. Let me think if I can think of something a little bit elevated. Well, not even elevated, but that is like basic. Boring. I love watercolouring. I'm obsessed.
I love that.
Yeah, I've done some very good lemons.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of them.
Yes, I love that.
But it is actually because I live a very manic life. I live a very fast-paced life. And I went on a watercolour weekend a few weekends ago, and I spent 2 hours, and all I thought about was how to make this thing reflect. It was better than any meditation I've ever done, Chloe. And I've done tons of meditation because it emptied my brain. It was fantastic.
It's like creative rest.
Creative
they
rest,
call it
yeah.
like that.
Creative
I love
rest,
that.
yeah.
But also, you know what? Like, I know you didn't want to finish on the dump, but for the first time, like, the last few months, I actually got comfortable with talking
about
mentioning poo.
Really? You didn't like to talk about poo?
No, I had this layer of shame, never mentioned the word poo. And with my partner, like, for them is normal, as it should be.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, have you gone for a poo? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And they're like, have you?
But I think it's quite Italian not to talk about poos, whereas it can be very... My family all talk about poo. And, we've all gone through... my brother, my mother, and I have gone through a hemorrhoidectomy.
Okay, the three of you.
Do you know what it is?
I mean, I
guess... You have no idea.
I guess I know what hemorrhoids are, but maybe it's like you had it strong for a long time.
No, I had an operation to have them cut out.
Oh my God.
And you literally have to sit on a rubber ring, and it's hereditary. So my mother had it, and my brother and I were like, oh my God. And then my brother had it, and then I had to do it. And it's just like you have a propensity to probably sit on the loo too long, because I'm always like, I've got lots of things to do on the loo. Yeah. So anyway, that's like, I don't know if this is the right way to end the podcast, but
baby.
Yeah.
Trinny, this is, oh my God. This is the thing people shouldn't know. You nailed it. That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
People didn't need to know about that.
They didn't need. Yeah, that's. And I'm thinking, do I give a shit? I've told you. Well, that's a nice way of putting it. But yeah.
Fab. And then to finish off. Very, very last thing is we go back to the exercise of breathing. So we close with
let's close
reconnecting with your body and where are we at now after our conversation. So we breathe in for 4. And exhale. Breathe in for 4. Hold. Exhale. And last one. Hold and exhale. Okay, so reconnecting with our bodies, how the body feels. How's your back feeling now?
My back's fine. A little twingy, but it's fine.
A bit twingy. So if we had to kind of like if you had to listen to your body as a whole and also as a like carrier of a message for the world, from a not just a political side, but like from a, I don't know, from your body to the world, like is there anything that your body would say right now?
No, I'm not good at that kind of question. I'm sorry. No.
No, not about the poo, but like in general, like.
Yeah, this is where my head takes over and thinks, no. It's just so painful not to love yourself. It's much less painful to love yourself.
Yeah.
So if we can get to a place where we can just love ourselves a bit, we can be far more forgiving.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Trinny. Thank you so much.
Oh,
that was
darling.
beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome, darling.
Oh, that was